parts and tools required for this repair are an inducer wheel. My part number was LA11XA048. A motor inducer. My part number was HC21ZE125. An inducer fan and clip, which is in the baggie. That part number was LA660003. And the tools I use are a hacksaw blade to remove the old inducer wheel, a 1/4 inch nut driver, an 1/8 inch Allen key hex, and some silicone sealant. That's all. Hey YouTube, today I'm going to replace the draft inducer motor on my Carrier furnace. This is a Carrier Weathermaker 8000 TS, but I'm sure this part works for other Carrier models in the family. So you can buy this induction motor as just on its own or as part of a kit that includes the inducer wheel as well, because that's difficult to get off sometimes. So I bought the inducer motor and the kit, or excuse me, inducer motor and the wheel separately in case I have to cut it off. But we'll see. Maybe I'll get lucky and I can return the wheel. So first thing to do is turn off the switch on the side of your furnace or wherever it is in your utility room, and turn off the gas. I'm feeding the furnace. I've done both. Then remove the cover. So the piece I'm trying to replace is the motor that spins here. There's an inducer wheel on the inside, and then this cools the motor, and the motor's in between, which obviously we'll get to. First thing to do is remove this assembly that's blocking us. And store all the screws in a bucket. Okay, so here's the Molex connector for this motor right here that I need to replace. The reason I want to replace it is because it's been squealing and I don't want it to fail. So it would be nice if you could just remove these 3 screws with this 1/4 inch nut driver and pull it out and replace it. But unfortunately the inducer wheel on the inside is bigger than this housing and you can't pull it out. Actually, I can show you that. I'll disconnect this Molex connector here. Same type of just press-on Molex connectors that you'll find in computer power supplies. But there's a tab here where it locks. So you lift that up. There we go. The new motor is going to obviously have this piece on it, and there's also a ground screw, a ground cable that comes out of it over here. Green is always ground. That'll have to be removed. But yeah, I mean, I'll show you. If you try to just remove these, okay. You'll see that I want this out of here, but this inner piece right here can't be, the wheel's too big to get it out with just those 3. So you need to go one step deeper which is a screw right here, another 1/4 inch right here, and one up here, and the one that the round screw is connected to right here. So we'll start with that one. So now I can remove this. And herein lies our project. So, get this out of here. Alright, so check this out. So, as you can see, this is like rusted on. There's a little notch out on your fins right here that you can stick your 1/8 inch Allen through and see if you can loosen that screw. And that's a big no. Unless I use penetrating oil, WD-40 or something like that. But what the guys, HVAC guys, do a lot is, and I know because I've talked to them about this specific project, you just get in here and cut that shaft off. In here. Yoink. Cut that off in here. Alright, I'm back. And I did have to saw show you the inducer wheel off as we planned. But, so that's gone. Successfully sawed off, but you may notice that this inducer fan that cools the motor is also off now. So the problem is there's this little clip that went on the spindle that holds it on, and when I'm trying to pry that off to remove this inducer fan from the old motor, because I want to use it on the new motor, it snapped out the inside. It's all cut out. So I would suggest, when you go into this project, have a spare inducer fan, which I just went and purchased again from HVAC Supply store. Here's the inducer fan that comes with the new retention clip, and it was like $6. So definitely going into this project, have one of these. This part number says LA660003. Inducer fan and clip, LA660003. Alright, so I'm going to use this on my new motor. So, first things first, here's how my assembly was with the wheel. I need to remove this motor, so have to remove it from this plate, which was mounted here. Right about like that. And the reason I needed to remove it, you need to remove it from there, is because these 3 screws are what are holding the old fan in, or excuse me, old motor in that we're replacing. Remove these 3 screws, and that in turn releases this motor. What I'm talking about is, when you look at those 2 shaft sizes, this one's a lot longer, and it was even longer, excuse me, this one was longer. It's sawed off now, but it was longer than this side. And on the new one you'll see that the long side has a little groove, and that's for the set screw to hold the inducer wheel on. So that's the side that has to go through the hole and come out this side. So the long one, and it does mount both ways. If you look, there's 4 screw holes there and 4 screw holes there. We're only going to use 3 of them on this, but you could mount it either way. One way obviously wrong. So like I said, this was long side. It's going to come through here, that, and we need to mount the new motor. And again, I want to make sure that this is all lined up right, because let's see where that was. Okay, this goes here, and this mounts onto here. So I want the motor was facing lower left like that, and that's how I'm going to mount it here, just like this. So line up my screw holes. And just like that. Great. Again, make sure the longer section with the groove in it of the motor is the one coming through this orange side, the orange pad side. And I'm going to take off a glove because I'm going to finger start these screws so they don't get cross-threaded. Alright, so here we have it. Longer sections coming through out here with the groove in it so that we can stick our new wheel on it, which is like this. It's going to go on like this. We still have another bracket to put in between here and the wheel. I'm not putting it on yet, I'm just showing you. And then this back section is where we're going to put our new version of this fan and the retention clip. So, first things first, so remount this. I'm going to remount like this. That's what these longer screws with the washers attached to them were for. Again, just showing how this is going to go, making sure all my screws line up. There, right there, boom. So this is going to go just like this. Looking good. Okay. And our ground screw, we need to remember, is going to, when we attach it back to the furnace, is going to go right here. That's where it was before, to ground the motor. Okay, next step is going to, I guess it doesn't matter which order we do these in, either install the wheel, our new wheel, which goes on this side. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, it has this this black set screw in there that's going to go onto the flat side of this motor. There's a groove all the way around and there's this flat side. It's going to go on that flat side. So this. That. And I just want to show something. So using this old one as a guide, the end of the spindle is flush with the top of this. So this could slide out or back, You want it just perfect so the top of it is flush. If that makes sense. I don't know why it wouldn't. So I start to make sure that that is the right amount of flush. That looks about perfect there. Tighten that screw down. That's it. I do not want to over tighten it because this is going to weld on with the heat anyway. We saw how hard it was to take the old one off. So just a couple turns here, and I don't want anything to come out of trueness with this new spinning mechanism. So I'm just tightening it as much as I can comfortably do. There we go. Flush at the top. Our wheel's on. Now we just need the cooling fan section. The cooling fan piece. Right here. Boom. New fan. And the famous retention clip, which was the real bear to get off on the old one because it's on the inside of this innermost concentric circle. So to try to get like pliers in there to grab it and pull out, it was difficult. I'm sure HVAC pros may have a tip for doing that, but I was not that successful, or wasn't successful at all. Failed. Anyways, here's our assembly. We're just going to throw this bad boy on. There's a flat side just like there was on the other side on the spindle, which is right here. This side is flat, and this also has a flat side, so that has to go there. There's my flat. There we go. So there we have the new fan installed, the new motor installed, the new wheel installed, and the final piece, this clip. Needs to be pushed on the shaft. Sorry, but I'm gonna put this flat on the ground and then push this clip flat down on it. Sorry that it's not within the view of the camera, but I want it to go on evenly and not bend it or anything because I only have this one. That should be a wrap. That's our assembled unit. And all that's left is for us to install this back into our furnace. It's going to go like this. Exactly like this. And this ground is going to go on this screw hole right here. And to make a good seal, if you buy the $300+ kit version of this thing, it comes with a kind of a foam seal to put around here. You can see some remnants of it from before. What I'm going to do is use some silicone sealant, like this, not the bath kind, but the kind that's weatherproof for windows and stuff like that, to go around this edge to make a good seal. And this temperature doesn't get high enough to render the sealant useless. I think it's, I can't remember the rating, but the HVAC guy suggests the silicone sealant. So I'm going to like that. Put the cap back on it so it doesn't dry out. Get my guess what? 1/4 inch. Ready to rock. Here we go. I'm doing this carefully because I want it to go on without smearing any of that sealant all over. Oh no, my ground screw one fell. It's alright, I can deal with that one later. Just want to get these things started. I have one started. Here is the second. Great. And now the ground screw fell, and I will get a magnetic tool to retrieve that. I don't even see it. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, cool. Magnetic retriever tool. Rescued, and has to go through this ground screw eyelet. And then into that hole. Well, guess what? A magnetic retriever tool is probably not a good way to start it. A magnetic screwdriver would be, which I have, but I'm not going to get right now because I can do it without it, and it's not right here. Boom. Thread that. And lining it right up. Cool. tight, tight, and the third one down there at the ground screw. Oops. Third one down there at the ground screw. Tight. Good news. Make sure these are all tight. Of course they are. I already did that when I built the assembly before I put it in. And the final step. Plug this in. Molex connector. Like so. I'm just showing the camera. Those two pieces obviously go together. But I'm going to be blocking the camera when I actually plug it in. Okay, that is firmly connected. Awesome. Final screw to replace. Aside from the cover, alright, just going to make sure that's level before I tighten it. Probably not too important. Alright, and usually you should have this cover on before you energize it, but I'm going to turn on the gas, turn on the furnace, and I'll wait for it to call for heat. And I'll make sure this thing starts spinning, and we'll know that we've had a successful repair. Okay, it's calling for heat. This is a 2-stage, oh, it's spinning. That's good news. It's spinning, it works, and it is a 2-stage. It spins at 2 different speeds, depending on which stage of heat that is being called for. And I think that is it. Parts and tools required for this repair are an inducer wheel. My part number was LA11XA048. A motor inducer. My part number was HC21ZE125. An inducer fan and clip, which is in the baggie. That part number was LA660003. And the tools I use are a hacksaw blade to remove the old inducer wheel, a 1/4-inch nut driver, an 1/8-inch Allen key, hex, and some silicone sealant. That's all.